You know, what I want you to understand before we have this moment together is that your story matters. Your story matters, your journey matters, you matter. And when we can fully embrace that, it changes and shifts the way that we go about our lives as women, our lives as moms, as wives, as caretakers, as human beings. When we learn how to own our stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, when we learn how to do that, it's freeing and it also just shifts us in a major way. And so I'm really excited to talk to you because your story can be leveraged for your future. All of the things that you've gone through, all of the pain that you may have experienced, all of the joy and the excitement that you've experienced can all serve as like fuel for the future that you desire to have, for the future that, quite frankly, we deserve to have. So I'm so excited to join you. I'm so excited to speak with you because I truly believe that we got to tap into how we can use what we've been through and what we're going through because I know that life is not always pretty. This moment that you're in right now might not be pretty, but it can absolutely fuel the vision that you have for your life. It can absolutely fuel the target, the North Star that you're after. It can fuel it to where everything that you desire comes to fruition for your future self. So I have a story for you. I'd love to share. There's some good things, there's some bad things, there's some ugly things, there's some beautiful, wonderful things. But I want to share the story with you because it's my story. And I know that my words have power. I know that my story has power. But most importantly, my story, which is ongoing because I'm still writing that thing right now, right? My story has really fueled what's to come. And I see that day over day, month over month, honestly, year over year, of everything that I've been through has really served as fuel for me to get to where I want to be. And I want to talk with you how to do that. So, a little bit of story in the beginning. No, let's start over. I'll tell you, here's my story. When I was a little girl, excellence was expected. Excellence was something that I knew to be the only acceptable path. I came from an incredible lineage of strong women. My grandmother was moved from a really small town in Texas, where I'm from, and she, as a strong woman of color, pursued her education, coming from the itty bitty town and going into the big city of Austin, Texas, and left college with 2 degrees. My grandmother is now 92. So if you think about the years in which she would have gone to college, it was a very different time in this country, a very different time in this nation. My mother, she, another strong, incredible, amazing woman who put herself through college, had me at a very young age, and I actually went to classes with her all the time. But she put herself through school and she graduated from college and went on to have an incredible, amazing career in accounting. My grandmother, who had her 2 degrees, went on to have an amazing career as an educator in the school system. And the story goes on and on, right? I just come from this background of these incredible, strong, resilient women. So growing up, that was my model. The problem is that I allowed the model to drive my perceptions of what, success looked like. And I projected it in a negative way onto myself. So elementary school, middle school, high school, I always felt like I had to be the best of the best of the best. I didn't give myself a lot of grace. I beat myself up a lot. I don't know if that sounds familiar to anyone. And as I got through high school, I was ready to go off to college and do great things. And I got to my freshman year in college and I was super excited. I went to school in Missouri, far away from home, right? Because I'm from Texas. Hello to all my Texans out there and hello to all my Missourians out there. So I went to school in Missouri and I got there and I had a funky good time. I had a lot of freedom, right? That newfound freedom when you go off to school. And by the spring of my freshman year, I found myself in a very interesting place because I found out that I was pregnant. I was expecting. Now, what teenager at that time, freshman year in college, having nothing but excellence on the mind of what to pursue, how was I to call home and share this information? And so, fast forward a little bit, I had my son, a beautiful, amazing young man who actually in 2020 graduated from college himself. And that year was what, 1997, going into 98 when I had him. And so as the years were going through, the dear guy that I met and had my son with, we decided to get married. We've been married now 22 years. He's been putting up with me. Well, I should say, I've been putting up with him for quite some time. And but yeah, we've been married for 22 years and we have a beautiful family of 3 children. And in that moment, though, I didn't finish school. Life shifted. And that's the moment where, as I talk about my story and how it can fuel the future, that's one of my first fueling points. Because I had to accept that my story was going to be different. Sometimes you have to accept that your story is going to be different. It's not going to be the story or the path of your mother, your grandmother, your aunt, your friend, your sister. It's not going to be the path or the story of your colleagues, your boss, your business partner. Your story is unique. And at that point, I had to realize that I'm okay to be different. It's okay that my story is going to be different. So I took a different path, right? I didn't graduate. In 20, and well, I guess it was what, 2000, my husband graduated. And then that summer, we actually got married in June of 2000. And it was exciting. It was fun. I did all the things, had the big Texas wedding, started to do the things that a lot of families do. We built our first home. We started to, work and have our careers, and we grew our family. And there came a point in time where I felt like I just wasn't enough. So that little feeling of not achieving excellence, not getting to that space where I felt like I was succeeding, it crept back in. So I thought I got rid of it, right? But I didn't. It crept back in, and I started to feel like, okay, Tareka, it's time for you to take a step back and think about what's going to fix this feeling. What are you really after? What's the gap? What's missing? And what was missing for me is that I did have an incredible desire to finish my education. I had an incredible desire to grow and do something different. And so guess what I did? As a working mom, full-time, wife, very involved in my community, I went back to school. I was in my 30s. Classes were different. The classes were real different. And but I was in a really cool program. The university I went to in Austin, Texas, other adults, other women, other working parents, just like me, who were trying to find some harmony between work and finishing their education. So I was able to do that. And I was able to graduate a few years later, right? Got to what 2012. And I was able to graduate with my undergraduate degree in organizational communication. And it was this overwhelming feeling of joy, not because everyone expected me to go back to school, right? Because definitely that was the expectation. You better believe I was asked every single year, when am I going to finish my degree? But because I did it for myself, I did it for my children. I did it because I knew I wanted more, I deserved more, and I was going to pursue more. And that was one of the things that I wanted to complete. So the second thing, as I talk about your story can be leveraged to fuel your future, is that you go after the things that you want. You go after the things that you need for self. Were there some incredible sacrifices that I had to make every single day? Absolutely. And I was really blessed to have the support of my husband and my family and my children. But I did have to make some sacrifices along the way if I was going to achieve that goal that I had set for me. But the end result, the walking across that stage was amazing. Walking across that stage was nothing short of just a dream of mine because I knew that I wanted it for me. And I knew that it was another marker into where I wanted to go in my career. So fast forward, so I graduated, and all the time while I was in school, I was actually kind of kicking butt in the career that I was in. And I had this opportunity to move to the East Coast, and I did. My husband and I, we picked up our family, we moved from Texas to the East Coast to the DMV area where I currently reside in Virginia. And I moved for what I thought was my dream job, right? I had this opportunity to work for this incredible organization, and I was ready to just go and make impact and pour everything of myself into this career. And I did. But I did so, honestly, to my own detriment. I mean, sure, was I making good money? Absolutely. I was traveling around the world. I got to see some cool places. I went to Germany. I went to Malaysia. I had an opportunity to work with these Fortune 400 and 500 companies, and I did so many cool things. But I was in an environment that really wasn't the best for me mentally and physically and emotionally. But I felt so much shame and guilt to walk away from it. I felt like, well, Tareka, oh my gosh, you just moved your family clear across the country. How could you fail them? How could you not stay? What are you thinking? And so I stayed a lot longer than what I probably should. And so after 3 years of, faking it until you make it, smiling at home, smiling in front of my colleagues at work, knowing that my stomach was turning, I was anxious, I was nauseated just coming into the building, but I put on a smile. I put on a smile and I pushed through it. And one day I hit a wall. I hit a wall. I'll never forget. I was at a conference that we were actually planning. And I remember I stood in that hotel room and I just bawled my eyes out. And I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. I remember my husband and my coming up to visit me and bringing the kids because he could hear how upset I was and how sad I was. And it was wanting to bring me joy. And it was joy in the moment. But I was forcing myself physically and mentally to be in a place that I knew I didn't need to be in. And so the next kind of thing that I want you to know is that, it's okay to pivot. It's okay to close one chapter of the book and to write a new chapter in your story. It's okay because you can leverage all the things that happen to really fuel the next chapter. Don't stay in toxic places when you know that you can go into places of growth and prosperity and love and joy and fulfillment. You owe you. I'm going to let that sit with you. You owe you. When you don't have anyone else, you have self. And when you don't take care of self, you cannot possibly effectively take care of others, pour into others, love on others. When we don't love ourselves enough to take care of ourselves, we put others even in a position to be negatively impacted. So I want you to know that it's okay to pivot. It's okay if you made a decision that made such a significant impact, and now it's time to reverse that decision and do something different. I'm empowering you to think about what are some things that are happening in life right now that you feel stuck in because you just can't believe what the audacity would be to make the change. And then I want to challenge you to have the audacity to change it. You may say, Tareka, you are a crazy person. Just a little, just a little. But I'm crazy enough about me, about myself, what I know I deserve, what I know that I need, what I know that I have a purpose for and a calling over my life. And it's not to be stuck. It's not to be depressed. It's not to feel undervalued. It's not to feel guilty for wanting to make sure that I'm taking care of those, my own personal needs. So let's keep going in the story. So guess what? 2017, your girl made a change. I made a significant change. I made a huge career pivot. I left my dream job and I made a pivot in my career. And at that time, it was a little difficult because there wasn't a lot out there that I knew and could kind of think of that I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something different. And I took about a $30,000 pay cut because guess what? There is no job that's worth the type of anxiety and depression and frustration that I was feeling. And I'm telling you that too. There's nothing worth your mental, your physical well-being. Okay? So I made a change. And it was significant. And it came with, I'm scared, but happy at the same time. I felt a little guilty because I knew the financial impact that I was making on my family, but I vowed to self that I know this is the right pivot I need to take. And I'm about to write the next chapter of this story called Tareka like nobody's business. So I shifted and I pivoted into strategic communications and project management, and I loved it. I loved it. And I started to write out a plan. And I designed a strategy for me that was going to help me achieve both my professional and my personal goals. So within a year, I'd made that shift, I'd made that change, and I said, Tareka, okay, let's look at this. Here's the financial impact, but here's like the other side of that you feel amazing, you feel valued. What else do you want? How else do you want to push this thing forward? And I started to take charge. I tell people all the time that you got to be the CEO of your life, the chief execution officer. Like, take hold of this thing and execute and do what you got to do. And so I did. 2018, I was in a different title, same industry, but different title, had a promotion. 2019 came, started positioning myself a little bit different. 2020 came, new title, got a promotion. I was like, this is kind of cool. You love what you're doing. You feel valued in what you're doing. You're thriving. But guess what? I know you're like, what, girl? Oh my gosh, things were going great. What happened? I felt like one of the things that I forgot about was having good harmony. I was always trying to find balance. I talk about being a work-life strategist. I was always trying to find balance, but that wasn't the answer because there's no 50-50. There's no on and off switch. So I was pouring all myself into fixing this situation, right? Learning from the previous chapter and trying to fix that. And I kind of forgot about being mom. I kind of forgot about being wife. And I started feeling like, oh my gosh, like I'm missing times. I'm missing incredible opportunities to spend with my children. Why am I missing recitals and competitions and games and practices? I love to cook. I love to cook for my family. It's one of the things I just love to cook. I'm a Southern girl. I don't know any Southerners out there, but we love to cook. I love to cook. Why am I not cooking for my family? I was so focused. I got back into this excellence, into this gotta be perfect girl. And I started to pour myself into this career because I felt like I had to make it up for myself, make it up for my family. And I started to pour myself in there and neglect other spaces. The next part of the story is called harmony because I had to shift away from balance and get to a place of harmony. Our lives are dynamic. The things that we do in our lives are not just around work, are not just around mom, wife. It's dynamic. It's our fitness, our wellness, our leisure, our travel, our finances, right? It's our own personal health and self-care. It's our careers. It's our businesses. We are dynamic. And as women, let me tell you something, we handle it well. But sometimes we overexert energy in particular spaces and we start to neglect others. And that's what I was doing. And so I had to switch from balance to harmony, meaning Work and life had to integrate better for me. I had to be present in the moment, but then I had to shut some things off so that I can be present in other moments, right? I wasn't so self absorbed in trying to fix my wrong, but I became self absorbed in living my life. Okay? Living my life. And life is dynamic. And to live your life with intention, to live your life with purpose, means you got to focus on all the things, not just one area. So I started to do that. And guess what? I was still advancing in my career. I was still doing great things, but I was also feeling great about being this present mom. I felt great about being a present wife. I felt great about giving myself attention, just stepping away for self care, not just on Saturdays or Sundays. You know, you guys see on social media, hashtag self care Sunday, hashtag self care Saturday. No, self care became a part of my lifestyle because I had been there. If you flip back a couple chapters of not taking care of self, and Tareka didn't like that. So, in order to take care of self, I had to fast forward myself and really think about what do I want in my future and start doing some of that right now. And that's what I did. So, let's fast forward a little bit. You know, we're in 2022 now, and it's been a year. It's been a year of growth. It's been a year of prosperity. It's been a year of healing. You know, you never really realize how much you need to heal until you take a step back and you really reflect on your story. And I did a lot of that reflection in 2022. I had to have some real difficult conversations. I had some conversations with my mother. I had some conversations with my grandmother, with my father. I needed them to know how I felt and how I had been feeling and how I'd been living my life and carrying this load, this heavy expectation that I felt like they had upon me. And I didn't blame them for it at all, but I wanted them to know the journey that I had been experiencing. I wanted them to know the impacts of it, both positive and negative. Don't get me wrong. There are some incredible things that I attribute to the upbringing that I had. I see myself as a driven, strong woman, but I'm a driven, strong woman that had some bumps along the way in her story that I learned how to leverage and push me and fuel what I wanted to do in my future. So, this next thing I want to share with you is that sometimes you got to have a conversation or conversations with self and with others. That was healing for me. It was emotional, had some tears, a lot, if I'm honest. I cried a lot because I needed them to know how I was feeling. But really, I needed myself to give myself space and grace to just outpour how I'd been feeling over the years. And it was so freeing. I felt so good to just speak out loud how I'd been feeling, speak out loud the experiences in the way, you know, that maybe I never had before. I'd never shared with my mother how it made me feel to have to chase after her expectations for me. I never had a conversation with my grandmother to say that every time I had to be on a stage, that I felt the pressures of showing up like her instead of showing up like me. I'd have conversation with my father to say, you know, it sucked sometimes not to have you around. There are things that a girl wants from her daddy that I didn't get all the time. It was hard. But those conversations that I had, mind you, in 2022, okay, 2022 were critical. So next thing I want to share with you is that it's never too late. It's 2022. These things have happened over the years of my life, right? Here I am, right? 42 years old. Here I am, 42. Oh, I just told my age, y'all. 42. Here I am. And I'm just now having these types of conversations. But you know what? It's because I wasn't ready to have them before. That wasn't the chapter of the life that I was in yet. I wasn't there yet. So it's never too late to have those conversations. And the conversation is not just for somebody else. Primarily, the conversations are for you because they are healing, they are freeing, they are liberating. They will take a weight off of your shoulders, off of your heart that you didn't even know was there. I think the reason why I was crying so much is I was like, dang, there are things that are sitting here that I wasn't even thinking about. There was some pain and some aches that I didn't even realize I was feeling. But being able to share those was amazing. You know, here's the thing that I'll share with you. It's always, it's always going to be a journey. Always. Everything that we do in life is going to be a journey. And there's always going to be a process in that journey, right? And you know, you hear people say, trust the process. I'm going to challenge you not only to just trust the process, but trust yourself. Trust yourself and believe in yourself enough that you are worthy of everything that you desire. I'm going to set that right there. You are worthy of everything that you desire and everything that you've experienced. The good, the bad, the ugly, the hate, the tears, the laughter, the joy, all of it that you have experienced. That's a part of your story that I want you to be able to grab a hold of and leverage as fuel to push you forward, press forward to what you want to see in your future. Better yet, what you don't want to see in your future. What are the things that you don't want to experience in 2023? What are the things that you don't want to experience in 2024, 2025, and so on? How crazy is it to even say that? 2025, like what? That's around the corner. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you're worthy. And I know sometimes it gets incredibly difficult to manage it all. And so we start to hyper focus into one area because they're like, if I can just win right here, if I can just win right there. But I want you to win across the board. I want you to win at home. I want you to win at work, in business. And most importantly, I want you to win inside. So when I talk about leveraging your story and fueling it for your future, what I really want you to do is take time to reflect on all that you have conquered. Stop. Let's change our mindset a bit and let's shift our thinking, reframe a little bit. It's not about focusing on all that you've been through. I want you to focus on what you have conquered. Okay? You are a conqueror. You're amazing. You are freaking amazing. I want you to focus your energy there. And then I want you to harness all that energy of the things, big and small, that you have conquered and utilize that, leverage that to fuel what you're going to conquer, not what you want to, what you are going to conquer in your future. So much of what we do in the day-to-day, I think, especially for us that are like working women, working parents, working moms, you know, we're in our 9 to 5s, we're in our careers. So much of what we do, I think that we feel like it's the career that fuels it, right? So if I want to travel a certain place, I got to make a certain amount of money so I can save that up because I want to travel here. If I want to do my kids to do something, or I want my husband and I to do something, we start thinking that our career is the way to kind of, you know, pay for and or fuel the being able to do it. And I want to challenge you, like, yes, realistically, we need money to do a lot in this society, right? We need money to do a lot in this world. But you also need vision. You need vision, and you need to be really clear and really strategic about where you're going. And this is where, when I talk about being the chief execution officer of your life, this is where, as we start talking about our story, that I want you to start picking up the pen and sternly writing. What is it you want? What is it you want to do? Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years? Where do you want to see yourself in 10 years? And then what are the things that you need to get there? What are the resources, the people, the time? Like, start to think strategically about where you want to go, right? So this part of the story is called level up. If you really want to see some shifts and some changes in your life, like you gotta be in this level up mindset, right? It's like a video game. Rather, if you play video games or you have kids who play video games, you have partners who have video games, whatever it may be, you're always trying to get to the next level, right? You're trying to conquer one level, trying to beat the game or beat whoever you're playing, and you're trying to get to the next level. When we level up as women, there's no competition because it's you against you. It's you against you. And I want this season, this next place that you go, I want it to be in a space where you are thinking that it's time to level up. And I want to challenge you to level up in a couple of places. One, I want to challenge you to level up in your life at home. What do you want to see differently? What do you want to change? What are things you don't want to experience anymore? And I want you to start thinking about what are the plans and the steps that you can put in place to start moving away and moving towards the future of what you want to see. Best ways to start doing that is start writing. Journaling is incredibly powerful. And I know everybody doesn't like to journal. Fine, don't call it journaling, call it writing, right? But I want you to write it down. What are the things that you want to do, big and small? What are the things you want to see, big and small, at home, in your personal life? Okay, then I want you to shift and I want you to think about your career. Or many of you might be, entrepreneurs. What is it that you want to see in your career? What is it when you want to see in your business? Let's write it down. What do you don't want to see anymore? Let's write it down. There's power in thinking, speaking it out loud, and then writing it down. And then I want you to start thinking about the actual steps and the things that you're going to take on and do to take yourself to another level. Why? Because we're going in a season of level up. This next chapter for you is about leveling up, taking yourself to a higher point, expanding your thinking, expanding your mindset, expanding your approach, expanding your community, expanding your circle of influence in your network. Who are you allowing to speak into you? Who are you allowing to be around you? Because I'm telling you, what you're around and what you hear and what you watch and what you read, what you see has a profound impact and influence of how you're showing up every day. And if you are going to be the chief execution officer of your life, then I need you to be very specific and very intentional about who you allow to speak into your life, who you allow to have influence over your actions, your behaviors. Gotta be intentional. I'm not saying to start cutting people off left and right? Grabbing out those emotional scissors and be like, boop, you're gone, boop, you're gone, boop, you're gone. That's not what I'm saying. But I do want you to be pretty intentional about how you allow people into your very sacred space. Okay? Everybody is not meant to know your dreams. Everyone's not meant to know what your next steps are. Have you ever heard the saying, like, move in silence? Sometimes you got to move in silence. Doesn't mean you cut people off so much to where you don't talk to them, never talking to you again. It just means you're very careful and intentional about what spaces you allow them into in your life. In this next season of leveling up, in this next chapter of your story, I want you to be intentional about who you are allowing to influence you, your thoughts, your actions, your moves, how you choose to exert your energy, your time, and your resources. Be mindful. Be mindful. Because we're on a journey. We're trying to get to the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the vision that you have for yourself, the vision you have for your family, the vision you have for your business, the vision you have for your career. We're trying to get there. So we got to be intentional about that path there, right? And we got to trust that process. But most importantly, what did I say? We got to trust ourselves. Trust yourself to make some decisions. Trust yourself to make some changes. Okay? Here's the thing. And I want to share something with you. Something that I had to do for myself in this year. I had to push myself. And in pushing myself, I had to start to think of the things that were like, maybe so-called impossible, right, for you to do, which I don't believe anything's impossible per se. I mean, the very word possible was in the word impossible. I had to push myself. And in pushing myself, I had to be bolder in what I was doing in a lot of different areas of my life. I was kind of playing a little small. I was being very cautious. I was being the CEO, like I was running things, but I was doing it very reserved. I wasn't taking many risks. And I've said to myself, as I'm going into the season of leveling up, that I'm going to take some risk. I'm going to do things a little differently. I'm going to move a little differently. I'm going to challenge myself differently in multiple areas of my life. And it's working out okay. It's working out okay. So this next kind of piece, as our time is winding down, that I really want you to think about as we're going into the season of leveling up is the word expectation. What are you expecting from yourself? Not what others expect from you, not what this world expects from you, not what your children expect from you, your husband, your partner, your spouse, not anything else. But what expectations do you have? You ever read the book Great Expectations? Like, what are the great expectations that you have for you? What does that look like? What does that feel like? And I want you to start to write that and document that, because it is so important that we enter into this next season of leveling up with expectation, standing on the tiptoes of expectation for what it is you're about to go conquer. Remember, I already said you're a conqueror. You're amazing. Like, absorb that piece. You're like, Tareka, you don't even know me. I know that you are amazing. I know that you have a desire to be the most best, unique person that you can be. I know that you want to be a phenomenal woman. I know that you are a phenomenal woman. And if you're not feeling like that, then you got to search deep inside and remind yourself how great and phenomenal you are. I know that you are an amazing partner. You're an amazing spouse. You're an amazing wife. I know that you're an amazing caregiver. I know that you're an amazing business owner. I know that you're an amazing professional. I know you are. But what's more important is I need you to know that you are. And I want you to start thinking about the great expectations that you have for yourself. The great things that you know that you are destined to have, that you freaking deserve. And you deserve it because you're here. You have a purpose, you have a calling over your life, and you deserve to reap all of the fruit from that. But it's how you go about it, and this next day, this next week, this next month, this next year, that's what's going to make it a game changer, okay? And so I really want you to write it down. You're like, oh my gosh, Tareka, here you go. You're talking about journaling and writing again. Yes, think it, speak it, write it. What are the expectations that you have for this week? Start small. Girl, I can't think past Monday. Okay, what are the expectations that you have for Monday? And guess what? As you start to check off those wins of those expectations, it's going to build your confidence. It's going to make you reflect back on the times where you weren't checking those boxes. And you're going to be able to look at me now. Sit back, look at me now. Look at what I'm doing now. I always knew that I could do this. And it's going to fuel your what? Your future. It's going to fuel what's to come. All the vision that you have for yourself, it's going to fuel it in a mighty and powerful way. But start small. Start small. Look at the day, then look at the week, then look at the month, then look at the year. and constantly go back and like reflect on what you're writing down. And as you start making progress, because you will, why? Because you're amazing, you're phenomenal, you're freaking fantastic and dope. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, you're going to start reflecting. You're going to go back and start checking boxes. And that's the evidence that you need. That's the boost in confidence that you need to move forward towards your future self. One of the things that I challenge myself with in this year is to take my skill sets that I know that I have and to apply them in a big way. And I've always wanted to host a conference. I love conferences. I think they're amazing. First of all, I love this. Like this is amazing. And I'm so glad I have the opportunity to speak with you and engage with you. Like, she is me. And I had to take a look at me and really think about what is it something that I really want to push myself and challenge myself to do. Something I'm incredibly passionate about is professionals, especially women and women of color, taking their careers to another level so they can achieve the desires of their heart. They can increase their salaries. They can, fund the things that they want to do in their futures. And they can do so all while achieving work-life harmony. And I started thinking about, okay, Tareka, how are you going to make that happen? What do you want to do? And so I developed this amazing conference called Expand. Expand is really this opportunity for us to expand our mindset, expand our career development strategies and how we're thinking about taking our careers as a professional to the next level. And how do you achieve work-life harmony? Like, getting to the next level and advancing should not be exhausting. It should not take you out. It shouldn't mean that I get to work on my career, but I can't be a great mom. I can't be a great spouse and partner. I can't just be good to myself because I'm trying to, climb this ladder. No, unacceptable. We can win at home and at work. We can be amazing in all these different areas. And I want us to expand our thinking and the expectations for ourselves in doing that. So I created Expand. Expand 2022 is a live virtual conference. It's a career development conference designed for professionals, designed by this woman right here who has experienced so many ups and downs in their professional journey. And I don't want you to have to go through some of that. Or if you're in it right now, you're like, girl, I'm not going through it. I'm in it. I want to help bring yourself out of it and get you to another chapter so you can level up. And take your career to another place and higher heights. The conference is November 17th and 18th of this year. It is amazing opportunity to get in a virtual room, right? With some amazing speakers, coaches, career leadership experts, industry leaders who just have amazing stories and strategies and resources and tools to pour into you because they want to see you level up. They want to see you get to a higher height in your career as a professional, as a human being. And so I encourage you. You see that website right there, right? I need you to click on that so you can learn more about Expand. Our early bird registration ends October 21st, but I'm telling you right now, early bird registration or not, I'd love to be able to connect with you, share with you, and have you have access to that same pricing as early bird, if not even will be like little promo discount if we could. So if you register for the conference, when you get to the end and it's time for you to check out, put in the promo code Achiever, and you'll get a little nice little surprise. But I want you in the room. I want you in the room. My story has expanded year over year over year, and not just professionally, but personally. But I want you to expand your thinking. I want you to expand where you are in your life. I want you to expand where you are in your career. And I believe that there are people who are going to pour into you at this conference, at the Expand conference, who are going to do it. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope you connected with it. I hope that it empowered you. It inspired you. I hope that you know that everything you've been through, it's not about what you've been through. It's what you've conquered. And you can do it day over day, week over week, year over year to get to your future self. I want you to leverage your story to fuel the future that you desire and you deserve. Thank you so much, everyone. And I hope to see you soon.